All right, so we're here at the family farm. This is the farm that I grew up on, and my brother and his family now live here and farm with my sister and her husband and their family, and they live down the road. And so I'm here with my dad. The guys are harvesting in the field right now. You may hear the tractor drive by here in a second, but I'm here with my dad, and we are in what they call the corn crib. And this building was here my whole life. Dad, do you
Built in 1950.
hold on?
Yeah.
So built in 1950.
Yes.
Okay. And so what is this building used for?
Well, not a whole lot anymore. It's kind of what's the right word? Obsolete.
Okay.
But we do have the dryers right next to it here.
Okay.
And so the corn is augered up into the dryer, and it goes into that leg.
I'm gonna stop it and turn you around here. So this is gonna be kind of hard to film because it's kind of tight space, but basically when they bring in the corn, this is gonna be really tight. When they bring in the corn from the fields, they unload it into a grain bin, and then from there, explain these, Dad.
Yeah, it gets augered up and goes into these two dryers. Of course, there's different pipes. They can shut it off to one or the other. Anyway, then it goes through the dryer, up this leg, and then it gets distributed to the bins.
So those small little bucket trays in there's hundreds of those, and it goes all the way up. And so when the corn is in the dryer here, or there's one here to my left and one here to my right, and when it's dry to a certain moisture level, it goes into here and then goes up this leg. And I'll show you pictures from the outside as well, but it goes really high. Do you know how high, Dad, that leg is?
No, I don't.
Okay. It's high. And then you can pick which grain bin it goes to. And like I said, I'll show some pictures from the outside so it kind of makes more sense. But so these dryers, how many bushels do they hold? Do you know?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay. And they're powered on natural gas?
Yes.
Yeah.
And electricity, of course, to run the fan.
Okay, right. Okay, so the electricity to run the fan and the heat is natural gas.
Yes.
I bet that's a big bill.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. So when I was growing up, this setup was a little bit different. And when Dad said it's now a little obsolete. I'm just going to have him explain how it worked when he was still farming and when I was growing up. So explain that, Dad.
Well, we would unload the wet corn inside the crib here. And we had a leg here that would take it up and put it into a bin, a small bin here, and then it would auger it into the dryer, and just like it does now. It comes out of the dryer, up into the big leg, and to the...
Yeah. And it had, where this concrete, here, these cracks in this concrete, all this area was it was kind of an open pit, right?
Yeah, yes.
And it had an auger that ran, so you'd pull your wagon up, and this had kind of a grate on it, and there would be an auger in there, right?
Yep.
And you would unload your wagon there.
Yeah.
And this building is passed through. There's doors on both ends. These ones are closed. We closed these because it's a little windy and it was going to be hard to hear us. But in the other end, you can see is open. But you'd pull straight through, and here is where you'd open the spout for the chute, I guess, for the wagon, and then you could either go. There was the same. What's behind us is the leg. It would go up, way up there, and do a similar thing of what they're doing outside, or you could go across here, right?
That's correct.
It would go across here, and that's actually what the grate looked like. You could drive over that, but that's kind of what that looked like, but it went all the way across. So this is one of the old wagons. How many bushels is this one?
200.
200. So you'll see here in a minute when we're over in the field, they call it a grain cart now because it unloads by auger rather than a chute. But their dad said it's 1,000 bushel. So even this thing loaded is quite a weight. But anyway, you turn this and it would open that, and it would just be gravity fed, right?
Correct.
Okay, I wanted Dad to explain just a little bit further on this corn crib here. Go ahead, Dad.
Yeah, it was designed to hold ear corn, which is corn picked on the ear. And of course then these slatted boards here would hold the ear corn in, but they would let the air go through and naturally dry.
Okay, yeah.
And so through the years, it's all been changed. When we had ear corn, these areas down here, we'd put a drag along here, and we'd break that corn into this drag into the sheller, which was a independent shelling machine. Now with the combine, that's what the combine is. It picks and the shells.
Right.
It's a combined operation.
Okay, so explain. I remember as a kid, you would harvest, and we had the combine when I was a kid even, but the difference between eared corn and shelled corn. So the eared corn, they still pick it that way for seed corn, right?
That's correct, yeah.
So, but they've gotten to now where the seed corn companies do the harvest. Yeah.
Right.
When I was growing up, we had a piece of equipment called the uni, right?
Yeah.
And it was this just ugly monstrosity looking thing, and it would pick the corn but leave the kernels on the cob. Yeah. And it would go into a different style of wagon of what we just saw. But in the old days, I'll say, it was picked on the ear. Would that have been fed straight to cattle or straight to pigs or whatever, or was it always shelled?
It was always shelled.
Okay.
There again, cattle could utilize the cob.
Right. Yeah.
Ground up. So then, sometime if you had cattle, you would grind it on the ear and then feed it as corn cob meal.
Okay. Yeah. So where these dryers are now, that used to be enclosed on that backside, and like Dad said, that this would hold ears of corn, and then the same on this other side, it was the same way, and you can kind of see the remnants of it on that back wall. And then I remember, I don't know if I was in high school or junior high, Dad added on this kind of lean-to, enclosed lean-to, and then this was used to store the combines, the grain head. It's the front part that's real wide, and it's what actually, takes the stalks down. And so it's so long they can't be transported on the roads, so they have to put it onto a trailer and haul it that way. So anyway, all these walls open up one way or the other, and then over the years, they'd store it elsewhere. And then this is my dad's lumber collection here. So you know me, I love all this old lumber, and it looks like there's some barn beams there, and just everything you can imagine here. Looks like it's been in here for a while. Huh, Dad?
Yes. Covered with dust.
What, 2x12s? What is this all out of, Dad?
A whole accumulation of different barns.
So there's some tongue and groove, probably flooring or decking up there. Boy, 1x10. These are long too, which is hard to find, and 4x6s maybe there.
Yes. 2x12s over here on the ground.
Yeah. And this is just what is all this? Where'd you get it all?
Well, like I mentioned, different barns that I've taken down through the years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is probably really old. Like it's old, what I'd kind of call old growth, right?
That's right, sure.
It's hard as a rock and good stuff. They don't make it like this anymore.
Yep, it's dried out, that's for sure.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised. This is covered with a bunch of dust and stuff now, but man, you put a pressure sprayer to this, and it's beautiful and hard as a rock, and just
Very few knots.
very few knots. Yeah,
Right.
just good stuff. Most people would just push over a barn and burn it, or have a wrecking company come haul it off. And what'd we do, Dad? Dad. So over the years, I think Dad liked to keep us boys, especially, and my sister Angie, keep us occupied, keep us busy, right?
Sure.
And so I mostly remember, like in junior high school, when Dad would buy a new farm, the old buildings a lot of times weren't worth keeping, right?
Right.
Plus, you have to pay taxes on every square footage, and that is huge for a farmer. Where if you're having old buildings on a farm and they're not being utilized, or they're dilapidated or whatever, I mean, they're a little dangerous. You know, people get wandering around. It can be dangerous, but also is the taxes you have to pay on a big, huge barn can really add up. And in fact, we both like history of old barns. And what's that film that we watched? They say, what's the two main deaths of old barns, and it's fire and taxes, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Those are the things that cause people to take down barns, is they catch on fire, or the taxes are too much and the farmers just want them gone. But we would take down barns, and I remember pulling nails out of lumber, and we'd stack it, and that's how we occupied some of our summer. And it taught me. I can't say I liked it then, but man, looking back, it sure taught me a lot and kept us out of trouble, and taught us a lot of hard work, and just to be able to reuse stuff. That's, like I said, this lumber is better than any lumber you could buy in a lumber store right now. Way better. And so anyways, we're gonna move on from here, and we'll see you guys in a minute. yell at me. So I'm in the combine with my brother-in-law Brian, and we're harvesting some corn here. So this is Brian.
Hey.
And so just to explain, like, in the easiest terms here, what he's harvesting here is they call field corn, right? So this isn't corn that you're just gonna eat like from the grocery store and you eat off the cob like at a barbecue or a boil or whatever. This is, the kernels are hard, and ultimately this type of corn could end up, we were just talking about the different markets where they sell this at from here, and so there's, you said a lot of it ends up being animal feed, whether it's pig or cattle, probably, right?
Correct.
Also pet food, cat food, dog food, or ethanol, right?
Goes into ethanol, correct. Except they make ethanol out of it, and then the byproduct is the animal feed.
Okay. So if you can't hear that, said it's the oils out of it, right? It becomes ethanol,
Yes.
and then the byproduct, a lot of times goes to the animal feed. So, and this type of corn also has probably a million other uses and products that come from it, whether it be your cornflakes or your, you name it. There's corn in a lot of things. And so anyway, I'm gonna hold on here. We're kind of downhill. This is one of the farms that's not completely flat. Most of the farms they farm is flat, but this one's got a little hill, so he's used to it. I'm not. But we're gonna turn around and take a look here. So this is what it looks like from inside the cab. Now this combine, it's basically automatic, right? You're controlling the speed, yes?
Correct.
But as far as this is called the head out in front of us, and as far as the head following the lay of the land and staying in the row, Brian doesn't have to steer at all. The steering is done by sensors that are in between those little pointy things, for lack of a better term. But you can kind of see there, this is a one machine that kind of does it all. So I want to show you here to our left. So you guys call this what? Unloading on the go, or?
Yes.
So this is unloading on the go. So right here next to us, this is on the upper part. Is the auger spout for the combine, and we're unloading into this 1,000 bushel auger cart. I don't know what 1,000 bushels weigh. Do you know? A lot.
56 pounds to a bushel.
56 pounds per bushel.
So it'd be 56,000 pounds.
So 56,000 pounds, and we're filling up every round, down and back, and before we get to the end, we're having to unload. And it takes a big tractor to be able to not only pull this weight, but to stop it. And anyway, this is quite an operation. So we're done unloading into that auger cart, and off he goes. And he'll go and either wait to be topped off. What he had been doing is going over here to these wagons. You can see the corn on top of these wagons. Those are 550 bushel wagons. So those are full. And my brother is hauling the other 2 wagons to the farm where they unload. So it's just kind of a constant rotation of moving this corn. Make a turn here. So he hits a button, it automatically hits the row and levels itself out, and away you go. And the guy in the auger cart, he just kind of waits down there, wherever, throughout the row. And when the hopper on the combine fills, he puts the spout. I'll turn you around and show you that here. So you can kind of see behind us here, there's a window, and it shows the corn filling in the hopper there. So when that gets full, when he needs to unload, Brian will put the auger out, and then that auger, auger cart operator knows to come up alongside and unload on the go. So yeah, quite an operation. All right, so Brian, how many years have you been farming? Your whole life.
Yeah, 30.
So Brian has farmed his whole life, grew up on a farm not far from us, and match made in heaven.
Yeah.
Married the farmer's daughter, and now my brother and his family, and my sister and Brian and their daughter, they all farm together. And this is not something you can really do this much of it alone. You need operators and different equipment, and just it just takes more than one person to do this, and really even more than the 3 people even sometimes. The guy in the auger cart is just a kind of a friend of the family, and he's kind of seasonal help. They hire him to work seasonally, mainly in harvest. And so if I lived a little closer to Iowa, that might have been my job. But anyway, it's hard to do from 600 miles away. But so anyway, so how many years though since you've been like on your own? Like, since high school, right? I mean,
Yeah, well, it's been over 30 years.
30 years? Over 30 years? Yep, it's a good way of life. It's a lot of work, isn't it?
A lot of work in a short period of time.
Yeah, and a lot of risk. I don't think a lot of people appreciate the risk that's put into agriculture. These guys don't get sick days, they don't get vacation days, they don't get health care, they don't get any of the benefits that come with a lot of jobs, especially government jobs. And it's on them. They rely on Mother Nature to cooperate, and it's just a lot of risk. And I don't think many people realize that or appreciate that. So sure appreciate what these guys do. We're unloading again here, and so I'll let Brian concentrate.